What makes a man masculine? Is it the muscles, the beard, or are there more factors that define masculinity? For the last years, I've been on a journey to try to find out what masculinity means for me. But instead of finding answers, all that happened was that I got confused even more.
Men can cry. It's okay to be weak.
The people who shoot up the high schools, they're weak, and weak is not good.
You guys are all just like really misogynistic.
There's no such thing as too much masculinity that's genuinely masculine.
There are probably millions of young men who struggle to define masculinity for themselves. What does masculinity mean for you?
Oh, good question.
But it wasn't always like this. For a long time, no one really questioned what it meant to be masculine. Traditional men just naturally knew. Back in these days, the man had principles leading them to a fulfilling life. But are those still relevant in our modern world? That's what I want to find out.
Do you think society still values masculinity?
I don't understand why would we need to value that.
Men are not meant to be dominant. Men are meant to be submissive.
The traits which have defined men for hundreds of years seem to be questioned. And if you look at a man today and compare him to a traditional man, you can definitely notice who's more masculine. But there's a group of modern men really trying to understand how those old school values fit into our world today. And I'm going to spend the next 2 days with them on a lonely beach. Well, that was only a foreshadowing what's gonna happen later in the video, because Noam is gonna take me there. He's busy. The 21 men I'm about to meet are all part of a German network.
I'm Angelo, welcome to Das Ruden.
It's a network of German-speaking entrepreneurs who want to become their best version of themselves by embracing their masculinity. So the first thing I realized arriving at the beach is that being here is basically resembling going back in time and living in a small tribe trying to survive. So this is the perfect environment to talk about the traditional values which man needed to have for thousands of years. So we're going to explore 5 key traits that define the masculinity of traditional man. For each of those, we will answer 2 questions. Why was this trait necessary for traditional man? And do modern men need this trait today? Surviving on a lonely beach miles away from any kind of civilization made us learn the first lesson super fast.
We are running out of food today, so I told the boys, we need the solution. We need to hunt.
A man was expected to be the provider. It was his job to make sure that his family has everything they need.
You look like a hunter.
I do. I look a little dangerous to you.
Very dangerous.
I'm not. I'm one of the kind ones. If you want a dangerous one, look at him here.
Very dangerous.
Pure masculine energy and a real fight to bring food home. Us man against nature. Well, that's not exactly what happened.
2 of the guys went fishing. In a few hours, they caught 1 fish. And we shared it with 20 people.
I gotta say, now I understand how hard life was back in the days for men. Getting protein must have been a pretty big pain in the ass.
I have to be honest, we failed. The traditional man, he went on the hunt, tried to catch some fish, to catch some, I don't know, some snakes. For us, it looks a bit different now.
Let's go, the food is here!
To get the food, we have to do something. We have to exchange something for the food. Most of us are running their own business to be able to provide for us, for our families, for the people we care about.
I've been an entrepreneur for the last 4 years. I built a company. I had 80 employees.
Running a business, that's like the modern day hunting, yeah.
For a long time, those gender roles were pretty clear. Man provided and the woman took care of the family. But today it looks different. Our society progressed to the point where these lines have faded. And now a man is not expected to be the sole provider anymore.
So personally for me, I wouldn't feel as masculine if I wouldn't be able to provide for my family, for my future kids. And that's why I kind of have also the feeling my time is running out, because I know how tough it is nowadays.
Today, being a provider is more of a choice, but this choice is extremely important. You're probably asking why. But before we can answer this, we need to look into the other 4 factors. So let's look into the second factor which made traditional man so masculine.
Do you think it's important to be strong as a man?
If you look traditionally, of course, you had to protect your tribe, your family.
Historically, competitiveness and aggression was a way to make sure your family survives. That's how you protected them. But today, societies have developed laws and cultural norms to manage and reduce the dangers your family would be facing. So this need of physical protection is not needed in most Western societies anymore. So do modern men really need to be strong today?
What I can say is you're a totally different person. If you know, you can fight.
It's funny how you suddenly see everybody be super competitive. Before that, we've been living in harmony.
Hard by the heat, never have.
Here, everybody wants just to destroy the other one.
Other men push you to your best capacities. If I do like 50 push-ups and the guy next to me, like he does like 60, I will do 65. It pushes you out of your comfort zone, right? And if you take one step outside of your comfort zone gets bigger and bigger.
If you're a guy who has never seen the gym from inside, you might not understand why strength is so important. For a lot of people, it's a process to first acquire the bodily strength, which is done by going to the gym, which then spills over to the emotional side, where you're able to control your mind more and be more disciplined about your everyday life.
The reason to be strong is fundamentally different than it was as a traditional man. Today, it has everything to do with acquiring more discipline.
For me, I think that if you experience some kind of stress, could be just running through the jungle up the hills. It gives you like the ability to get control over your emotions.
Traditionally, man faced a natural life full of stress and challenges. They had to learn to act without the luxury of choosing only what they felt like doing. It was a pretty harsh reality, but it made the man back in the days extremely disciplined. But what does this mean for you? Modern men enjoy a life full of comfort, where surviving doesn't demand as much discipline. That's why building strong discipline isn't a natural process anymore. Today, you actively have to put yourself into challenging situations to grow that discipline.
First time I've been in an ice bath, and I almost passed out. Being in an ice bath, you need to learn how to control your mind and your fight and flight mode. I kind of expanded my comfort zone, and now it's way easier, and I have way bigger discipline to stay in the ice bath. It's easy, and it's also pretty warm, so yeah, it doesn't work like intended.
While discipline is still important today, the context in which it is applied has shifted from survival and physical challenges to mental and emotional challenges. Which leads us to the next trait of traditional masculinity.
Some men think that it's super masculine to just be a hard man and be rough, but it also means to truly be able to handle your own feminine side as well.
Emotions and masculinity is a very tricky topic. Traditional men were pretty much told to keep all their feelings hidden, always show toughness and resilience, to keep a cool head.
You just were not allowed to show your bloody feelings, so you couldn't go into the village and complain, about your feelings. It was like selling yourself to somebody. You just couldn't.
But today, a lot of people think that this approach is outdated.
The third way feminists say masculinity is toxic.
Is masculinity toxic?
Yes, they never express their feelings. It's something that you learn from society.
So what do the men on the beach think?
In the beginning of my stage of being a man, I was really emotional. I was screaming when I don't want to do the things that I have to do. I was not studying for my homework, for example, when I was young, and just reacting to my emotions. Huge change for me from the Jonas in the beginning and the Jonas now.
When you're truly masculine, you have control over your emotions. You don't suppress them, you feel them and you control them. What's dangerous is a man that is not in control of his emotions. The true danger are not stoic people. The danger are people that let loose of their emotions.
Most of the guys I talked to agreed that even today, adopting emotional control and a stoic mindset has helped them when faced with challenges and disappointments. And it's similar for me. Often my initial emotional reaction would have led me to act differently. And sometimes I then gave into those emotions. But those were usually the times when I ended up making mistakes.
You have to regulate your happiness your anger. It's like a muscle. You have to train it.
But there is one fundamental aspect which ties all of the topics we've talked about together.
Everyone who's here today is like obsessed with something. Sports, his job. For you, it's your camera, your lens.
Traditional men often had one main purpose in life, which was to ensure the survival and well-being of their family. That's why they worked hard and provided for them, built up physical strength to be able to protect them, lived a life full of discipline, and gave emotional support for the whole family. So as you can see, a lot is connected to the purpose of a man's life. What defines masculinity can be complex, but during my journey to find out what values a modern man can adapt from traditional masculinity, one clear point stood out. Many men I talked to felt deeply unhappy when they lost control over their lives and struggled to pursue their own goals.
I think that real masculine fulfillment really comes through progress. Try to push your own limits and just raise your standards.
If you clicked on this video because you want to become more masculine, it's likely that you don't have a meaningful goal you're currently striving towards. If you don't aim to create a healthy family, build a business, or simply become the healthiest and best version of yourself, it's really hard to be the leader of your own life because you don't have any direction to strive towards to.
I understand the trend and I understand where it's coming from. It's coming from people that also haven't grown up with a father figure and that are asking, hey, what it's like to be a man.
For thousands of years, we knew naturally how we needed to act. Man had strict goals which to strive towards to.
I think you can read as many books as you want, you can watch as many YouTube videos that you want, but in the end it really comes down to make like the experience.
Becoming masculine doesn't work by following a step-by-step guide. No, it's about figuring out your own path. For me personally, focusing on this traditional masculinity was a very good guideline to understand what it means to be a man. Of course, some of those aspects need to be adjusted, but there is a reason why this characteristic stood steady for thousands of years.
You gotta be around men. You gotta be around these people because it makes you feel better, because these people keep you in check, because these people make you think about things differently.
By talking to other men who are on a similar journey, we stop copying a single way to be masculine. This way, you get to learn from them and start leading your own life, instead of just walking in another man's footsteps. One major learning I will start to incorporate into my life is that it's my responsibility to take care of myself, then my family, and then my surroundings. By aiming to become the sole provider for my future wife and kids, I already have something to work towards today. This will keep all my actions in check and give me the necessary discipline and strength to continue leading myself in the right direction to achieve that goal. Hopefully this simple framework we discussed in this video is already enough for you to reconnect with your natural masculinity. Becoming the man you want to be is an endless journey, and this journey can sometimes feel very lonely. The good thing is that you don't need to figure out everything for yourself. You can join our community and meet like-minded people from all around the world who all are trying to become the healthiest and best versions of themselves. If you join us, you can find trustworthy friends who will hold you accountable but also support you on your journey. Our community is English speaking, but if you're searching for like-minded people from Germany, you should consider joining Das Rudel. You can find all the information down below. I had a wonderful time.
And we have a new member here now.
Let's go! Masculinity.